Welcome, everyone, to Black and White Sports. I'm your host, Damon the One Thomas, and we are here joined by our co-host, Dan the Ass Stevens. We're a new show, and this is our pilot episode.
Yes, sir.
Basically, we're going to give you a quick review or a quick rundown of what we do and who we are. Basically, we're two just regular sports fans who want to share our opinion about sports with other regular sports fans. My background in sports is I played locally here in Indianapolis, high school basketball, which my background is basketball. Dan is more of the football guy.
Gridiron guy.
But we love sports all in general. Back to me, I grew up here locally in Indianapolis, played at Lawrence North High School, graduated in 1993, and we had a pretty good team and some pretty good players. And then from there, I went to a junior college down in Texas, played a little basketball, and from there I went into the workforce. I've continued to stay with the game of basketball. I've coached a little bit. I coached my oldest son, his AAU team in 7th and 8th grade. As recently as last year, I coached my daughter's AAU team for 7th grade. And now I do a little training for girls in the basketball area. And then again, I just love sports, football, basketball, baseball, whatever is a sport is what we love. And what we're trying to do here is just talk about sports. That's what we like to do. We're kind of like you got your homies in the garage and you're just talking about what's going on in the active sports world. We'll focus on the current sports season, but we'll also do professional and local sports, and we'll even get down into the high school sports for some of you guys who have kids that are just dominating our high school scene. That's a little bit about me. Dan?
Thanks, Damon. This is Dan Stevens, born and raised in Indianapolis. Played all kinds of sports during my grade school and high school times. I did play football. That was my more predominant sport as I played when I was growing up. We did win state my senior year. I am not going into where I went to high school at, though, because I don't want to deal with that talk right now. We can have that at a later date. But I currently am just took the position of Irvington Community Elementary School's 4th and 5th grade boys and girls basketball teams. So we're finally starting a basketball program over there for our kids for the future. Like Damon said, what we're here to do is just talk. Two guys talking sports. Stuff that you're going to hear from us is about the same thing that you'd hear from your buddies talking around there. Big shout out to JL Media Today. Thank you, Johnny. We appreciate the help, love, and support as always. Check the podcast out at jlmediatoday.com. We want to give a quick shout out to Dawn Green at Motion Away Pain and our Friends of Jacqueline Foundation friends. They do good work for a good cause, and we are glad to have them on board with us.
Yeah, and you got to check out Dawn Green over at Motion Away the Pain. It's a phenomenal idea of kind of maintaining sports injuries with using your body.
Right.
And so it's pretty awesome. So let's get to what we came here for. We're going to talk about some sports. So here we are shooting our pilot. Now, we've sat here and we wondered, what are we going to talk about to get you guys interesting? So what's going on right now? What's going on is college football is beginning this week.
We are finally here. We have been seeing all these preseason NFL games. We've been hearing a lot of talk about the matchups coming up in college, and now we are finally within, 4 or 5 days away from kickoff.
Yeah, the first game is on Thursday.
Yeah.
Well, the first group of games is on Thursday. So there's some exciting matchups. We'll get into those. But, yeah, it's college football season, man, and it's really hot. And we are two huge college sports fans.
We will get into our teams here shortly.
No, we're going to get into our teams now, but then we'll discuss our teams later because they have a huge matchup September 1st.
Big matchup.
Dan with the Fighting Irish.
Go Irish.
Notre Dame, the Golden Domers. And yours truly with the University of Michigan. Go Blue.
Yeah, I like the navy blue better.
Yeah, whatever. So you see our college affiliations, and now we're going to jump into some of the talks of college sports. So the football season upon us. We have the top 25 out. We have the Power 5 conferences. And we have a little switch up in how they select the college football playoff.
We do. It's a little new this year. And
it's not the 4 most deserving. No. It's the 4 best teams.
As it should be.
As it should be. Now, coming down to that 4 best, that kind of brings us into the talk that we've been talking about across the sports world for the last couple of years, well, since the playoff has started, is how do you determine the correct amount of teams to play in the playoff? Right now we have 4. Mm-hmm. We've heard 8, we've heard 12, and we've heard 16.
Right. Honestly, my opinion is I don't think that they should go more than 8. I think if you get the top 8 teams in the tournament, use some of those smaller bowl games to use as the tournament games to work up into the Rose Bowl or the Sugar Bowl or the Fiesta Bowl, one of those bigger, or the Cotton Bowl, one of the bigger known bowl games, and use that as the Final Four.
Okay, I do like that. I'm on your side on that. I don't think you should have more than 8 teams.
No.
I think because you can't really determine the best college football team with more than 8, because then you're getting into, 3-loss teams. If you got 3 losses in college football, I don't think you need to be anywhere near a national championship.
No, and 2's pushing it depending on what your record is.
And 2 is pushing it.
Depending on who your schedule is against.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly think that you cannot tell the top 4 teams, the top teams in college football, just by using the top 4 either. That's why I'm saying bring in those 4 more so that we can actually have, 3 from the Big Ten or something in the tournament, because honestly, we'll get into this here in a minute, but I see the Big Ten along with the SEC being powerhouses, at least for this season coming up.
Right. Agreed. I like the format, and what it really comes down to of why they haven't done this already is it comes down to money. These bowl games generate quite a bit of money, and they haven't figured. I know they can't figure it out, but they haven't figured out how to filter that money throughout, the bowl game season.
Right. That's why you have 60 different bowl games.
Right. And then they keep coming back at us about this. Well, they're college athletes. They're college students. They don't need to be doing this or that. But listen, we understand that they're college football athletes. They're athletes. They're students first and then athletes. But you don't run it like they're students first.
Not at all.
You run it like they're athletes first.
And no school goes against that. I'm sorry.
Right,
they can say what they want, but no school goes against putting their students first, athletics second. It's all a reverse.
It is all in reverse. You can tell by the generation of money that comes in. So they're obviously looking at the athlete part of it first. So who cares if they play into the second semester or finals or whatever? Half these kids aren't going to class anyway. Most of these classes have tutors set up for these guys because, you have away games, especially with college basketball. You're gone during the week.
Right.
Not so much college football, but you're gone during the week through college basketball. So they can figure out how to separate that money with all those bowl games because everybody benefits from it.
Right.
So, and with that, we agree on the playoff system, and that comes down to how we separate the conferences. Now, you got your Power 5 conferences.
Right.
You have the Big Ten, the SEC, the ACC, the Pac-12, and the Big 12.
Yep.
So, and normally
that's still around.
Yeah. So, who knows what's going to happen with these super conferences coming in? But so it's normally going to come down to those teams come out of those conferences that's going to be really pretty much considered into this, unless you get like a
Notre Dame, which is independent. Somebody in a lower, like the Mountain West region or something like that.
Yeah, they're going to have to be in
they've
some
been
type of
consistently winning undefeated records. Maybe
Right.
a 1-loss within 3 years or something like that.
Right. This UCF 13-0, you making yourself the national championship, that doesn't fly.
No.
You got to get into her and play the big boys lane.
Which they should, put certain teams on their schedule like that. If they
Right.
want to be noticed into the college playoff system, they need to be playing bigger conference schools.
Right. You need to come out of there. You know what I mean? And this is an example of why you need 8 teams. Because if you got 8 teams, UCF gets in that playoff. And then you'll see how good you really are.
Exactly.
So, I mean, and so let's run down these conferences real quick. Let's go ahead and rank these conferences as we'll start at the bottom.
Of the Power Five.
Of the Power
That's what
Five.
we're talking about, guys. The Power Five conferences. We're going to start at number 5 and go and work our way up to number 1 real quick. So, Damon, I want to hear who you have as your number 5 conference.
My number 5 conference is going to be the ACC.
Okay. Well, I see. I'm going to disagree with you, but let's talk about the ACC first.
Well,
You got
the ACC,
Clemson, Florida State, Miami, Virginia Tech, all in the top 25 starting out.
Mm-hmm.
Am I going to say that all 4 of those teams finish in the top 25? No. But I will definitely see 2 out of those 4 teams ending in the top 25 this year.
I see one of them ending in the top 10, top
Okay.
5 maybe, and I see another one finishing in the top 15 area. Outside of the top 10, probably in the next set of 10. That would be Virginia Tech.
Okay.
I like what's going on there in Virginia Tech. They've always seemed to be solid, and with the legacy that Frank Beamer left, they got a good thing going on there, and I like how they do things. They mix well with the colder power football with the warmer spread out type of football. So I like that. Obviously, Clemson's going to be the top of the crop over there.
Yeah, I agree.
They might get a challenge from Miami. I doubt it. They might get a challenge from Florida State. I doubt it. Florida State's bringing in a new coach.
Right.
They're trying to figure out their quarterback situation.
Right.
You know,
And we'll talk about this a little later in the show, but a big matchup starting off the season between Virginia Tech and Florida State.
Yeah. So that's a pretty good, and that's a conference game.
Right.
So I like they got Francois coming back after his injury in 2017. I can't remember the young guy's name who took them through the season last year, so they got like of a little quarterback battle. I give the odd to Francois being the older guy and knowing how to win because they were winning with him. I think Dalvin Cook was from there as well, so they had a pretty good thing going on. So I do like Virginia Tech to finish second in that. I don't really see a whole lot of other challenges coming out of the ACC. North Carolina, maybe. Yeah, but probably not.
No, probably not. I would say you'd probably get a bigger game out of Pitt. Coming on the ACC, as the ACC, I think Pitt's going to be a decent, mid-tier contender in the conference. They do have Notre Dame on their schedule. They do play some pretty big matchups, but they can hang in there with the big boys.
Yeah, they can. North Carolina is not a team that you look at and think you're just going to go by them. If you're not playing properly, they will beat you. Maybe a team out of that conference that you might have to have a dark horse on, I would say Boston College.
Oh, you know
Boston
me.
College tend to have a
tend to-
very good defense.
Yeah, they tend to wreck Notre Dame's good record usually.
That's
And-
your fault.
Yeah, I know. And
Stop
then this year,
overlooking
that's
that
the
guy.
good old Shamrock Series and Yankee Stadium against Boston College,
So that should
which
be-
they have hideous uniforms for, by the way.
I don't know. I like all gold.
They're not all gold.
I love the new helmets that you guys be rocking, though. But that's for another date.
Oh, boy.
So that pretty much shows you the ACC. I don't really have them a whole lot of strength of conference. I don't think the other conferences are going to get a whole lot of strength of schedule out of that conference when they beat up on that conference. Clemson's probably going to be a playoff team unless they have some serious injuries, but I don't see them winning losing more than one game.
I agree with you on that. Now, that was your, number 5 conference. I'm going to go with my number 5 as being the Big 12, with the ACC probably being, in 4. So, real quick to kind of talk about the Big 12, you got Oklahoma, TCU, Texas, and West Virginia starting out in the top 25. Out of those 4 teams, I could potentially see 2 of them making the top 25 still. Oklahoma, I don't think, is going to have it at the end of the year again. We've always seen it in the past where they have that one game and it kind of screws them up for a little bit, and then they'll slip every once in a while getting to even making the playoffs. TCU is the team out of that conference that I can see potentially making the playoffs or making a very strong playoff run.
I think TCU season will go as how they start. They have a really big game that we'll mention here in a little bit with OSU. I'll never say that school's name, so you just better know what that means. So they got a pretty good matchup. TCU looks like they're the best team in that conference. I kind of got them both either 4 or 5, 5 and 4. You know, it can go on which week we want to talk about them. Mm-hmm. Oklahoma's always been the predominant team in there.
TCU's kind of been like the little stepbrother of the conference.
Yeah, that shows up every now and then.
Exactly.
Right. Not really sure who the quarterback is going to come in for Oklahoma with the departure of Baker Mayfield. He does so much for that team. You know, they only want to focus on the antics that he did, but the guy produced on the field and his team followed him.
And look at him now.
Yeah. So
preseason, yes, but he's hanging in there.
Yeah, he's hanging in there. He's going to be a good one. You got to look at Baylor. Baylor can scare you. Baylor puts up points. So if you don't,
they don't have a defense though that's going to contend against these powerhouse offenses.
All they got to do is play defense one play. All the other team all they got to do is wait for the other team to make a mistake. Because if you can't put up 40 points a game, you might have a trouble beating Oklahoma, beating Baylor.
Yeah,
that's just a
You're stuck in RG 3 days.
That's a whim. You know what I mean? But really, this conference is not that awesome of a conference.
No, and that's why they, like you said,
I think their biggest flaw is they don't have a true conference championship.
Right. Yeah, they can't really tell, okay, I'm the best in the conference because I won the championship game. No, you can't, because you may not even have played a couple of them teams that are right there.
And their championship game is, we got number 1 and we got number 2 in the conference, and they'll play each other.
Exactly.
Yeah, that seems kind of, I don't like it. You know, you got enough teams where you can have a East or West or a North and South. That way you can come out with a true championship game. And I think that's what always holds the Big 12 back, because for a while they didn't have one at all.
Yeah.
And then they just threw one together last year to say, look here, voters, we got a championship game. So it was pretty half-assed, if I say so myself.
I agree.
But behind the scenes, the Big 12 is, we don't know if they're going to still be a conference or if they're going to turn into one of these super conferences.
Right.
So
in that essence, I can see some of them joining the Big 10 with where they're at. Some of them going
Big
to
10
the
has
SEC.
enough. I mean, I don't think we need.
Oh, I'm with you, because it's the Big 16 now, or 14 teams.
Pretty much. I don't even really see why Rutgers is even in the Big 10. But
I'm with you.
Maryland, that's ridiculous. But so neither one of us have a lot of faith in the ACC or the Big 12.
Right.
The only team that we see coming out of the Big 12 and the AC to make the playoff would be Clemson. TCU, I think if we had 8, they'll probably be in.
I agree.
But when it comes down to 4, they're going to be probably on that first 4 looking in. And then from there, we'll head to I'll head to the Pac-12.
I agree with you. In the ranking of third top conference, they got a lot of upside coming in the Pac-12 past couple years. Obviously I'm a Notre Dame fan, and that's where one of our biggest rivals is located, is in Southern Cal, which they come in at 15th at the beginning of the season.
The Trojans. I've never really.
You just wanted to say Trojan, didn't you?
Yeah. I can't say positive or negative about USC. Can't say I'm a fan, or I can't say that I'm not a fan, but I sure as hell can't say that I'm a fan either.
Right.
If I had to come down to pick who I would cheer for in that game, it's probably going to be the Going to Domers.
Well, that's who you should be talking about next week, but we'll get into that here soon.
Whatever. So the Pac-12.
I think Washington's going to take it.
Washington clearly is going to win that division, or win that
and they
conference.
got a hell of a game coming up to start their season.
Hey, Washington, I give Washington about a 68% chance of being a national championship.
And it could happen.
They got a really good team.
Yep.
The running back is amazing, and they're very well-rounded.
Yep. If you follow us on Facebook and Twitter, I think I put – it may have been on Facebook. I think I put just for S&Gs out there who I thought the national championship game would be against.
It would be its and giggles.
Yeah. I had Washington making that championship game against Georgia. Now, that was just for S&Gs, just to see what people would think, but it's very possible to happen.
Yes, it is. But let's get to the big news about the Pac-12.
Let's
get to the big news. This guy, being a Eagles fan, does not like this particular fellow. But this particular fellow is going back to where he was extremely successful without winning a national championship. We're talking about none other than Mr. Chip Kelly, making his college return to the University of Los Angeles, California.
Great college coach, piss poor NFL coach. He can go back to college. Thank the Lord.
So, yep, we got Chip Kelly back in college football, and he's at UCLA. He's going to be a thorn in USC's side.
He will.
He's going to draw recruiting out of that area, and he's going to compete.
And he's going to get
USC.
recruits. He's going to get recruits.
Well,
it's not like he's not familiar with the Pac-12.
Right.
You know, coming from Oregon, then going to Philly, and then moving back to college and going right back to the conference that he won a championship with.
Mm-hmm. Well, he won they didn't win in Oregon.
When he had Mariota?
They didn't win.
Okay, well.
They went, but they didn't
close.
win.
They got close.
They lost.
Well, good.
Mariota lost.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
This is why we're just.
He's not a champion.
This is why we are just normal guys talking sports, because we don't have a statistician with us.
You know what I mean?
He's at college at Ball State right now.
Right. No, actually, he's in Iowa covering esports. We'll get to that.
Okay.
We do that too,
go.
folks. We do that too. We'll do esports too. So
Great.
We're all over the map. So here we go with Chip Kelly still in recruits. I think he'll be fine. But I don't think this year is the year that he's going to make a lot of noise in the Pac-12.
2 to 3 years.
I mean, yeah, he'll make a bowl game. I think he'll finish maybe fifth.
In the conference or overall?
No, fifth in the conference.
Okay.
In the conference.
Yeah, he's in the middle.
Y'all give him fifth in the conference. Who I'm excited about that's joining the Pac-12 and who is coming back into football from being an analyst on ESPN.
You play to win the game.
Hello. Herm Edwards. Awesome football mind. And it's going to be great to see his enthusiasm and the knowledge that he brings of football and the knowledge that he's going to bring of the pro game to the Sun Devils.
And that's where I think the Pac-12 is going to be starting to really see some difficult recruiting and difficult defense, because Herm's not a slouch, man. He knows how to recruit. He knows how to talk to them kids. He knows how to lead.
Hey,
and I think he can
knows
lead
how to motivate.
He can lead and motivate the Sun Devils to a Pac-12 championship within the next 4 or 5 years.
Hell, Herm Edwards is like Ray Lewis. He's one of those guys that, man, if they're talking on TV, man, I'm excited to go do something.
You play to win the game.
You know what I mean? It's awesome. So, again, with Arizona State as in UCLA, I don't see a whole lot of improvement this season. Their improvement is going to come down the line in the next 2 to 3 years when they actually get some of their style of players in. But in 3 years, man, the Pac-12 is going to be loaded.
I agree.
You know,
but
Stanford's going to come back.
Yeah.
Washington's coming up. Oregon's going to come back.
Yeah. Oregon State.
You know,
they got a hell of a conference.
The Pac-12's got some horses.
They do.
Isn't Utah in the Pac-12 now?
The Utes. They may be. They may be. Our statistician, again, is in Iowa, so we don't have him.
Peak game. Pac-12 championship game. I have the Utah Utes, and I have the Washington Huskies.
I'm going to have to say Washington, definitely.
And, Washington's going to win it.
They're
going
to win it.
I'll see it.
Utah's
coming out of the West. Who they got? Boise State?
No.
Or, I mean, the South. It's the Pac-12 South. I don't know.
I honestly think it's going to be Southern Cal and Washington.
Okay.
I do.
Okay.
With the one-loss Southern Cal team going into the championship.
One loss.
Because obviously that one loss comes from the Irish.
So don't they play Washington?
In the regular season, that I don't know. It could be one of those things that
they're going to have
not playing each other.
They're going to have one more loss. They're not going to go into
maybe.
Yeah, they're not going to go into that.
Sorry,
conference.
one loss conference game. One conference loss.
One conference loss. Okay, and then you'll have the
so they'll be
the 10 conference.
So
loss.
they'll be 10-2 because they'll obviously lose to the Irish.
Right.
And if they do play Washington, that would be the other one that they'd lose against.
Right. I agree there. So from the Pac-12, I go to the SEC.
And again, we agree.
Yeah, a lot of you I don't know how many of you Southern people are listening to us, but hey, I'm not that big of a fan of the SEC. I think it's a lot of loudmouth coaches and a loudmouth analyst, Paul Feinberg.
Call him out, brother.
Yeah, I will. You know what I mean? Because I don't think he's very objective about college football. He sticks with his conference, and that's it. You know, and he trashes Jim Harbaugh for some God knows reason. You know what I mean?
We're trying not to be biased here, but all know
I'm being
Harbaugh
biased.
is Michigan's coach.
I'm being biased. But the SEC, I think I think they're the second best conference, but I still think it's a down year for them.
It's a down year compared to where they've been at, yes, because they've always been the top Power 5 conference across the college nation for years.
Even though the Big Ten did win the first college play, the first.
Yeah, spit it out there. Spit it out.
First unified college playoff championship.
They did.
Yeah. So.
Well, maybe that's the reason we got them.
I'm not mentioning
next.
the school. I'm just mentioning that the
and
conference
he'll never mention that school
ever.
But I think the SEC is still top. I mean, they're still very tough. You know, you got 5 teams starting off in the top 25 with Georgia, Alabama, Auburn, LSU, and Mississippi State. Mm-hmm. And look at the non-ranked teams in that conference. You got Ole Miss. You know, there's teams that could come out and beat these teams here. You know, one game, catch them slipping. Catch them coming off a big game.
Yeah, because you go down to Fayetteville and you play Arkansas, you might lose.
Exactly, because that's that home crowd. That home field does give you an advantage, and especially in college football.
I mean, and then we're always intrigued by the Iron Bowl with Alabama and Auburn. You never get a slouch game there. So, and then I like Georgia coming out of their division. I don't see a lot of challengers to Georgia coming out of there. If Georgia loses conference games, that's when they cross over and play the other side.
Okay.
Alabama, I don't think they're as good as years past, but the great Nick Saban always seems to have his team somewhere close to the top at the end. So you can never count him out.
Yeah, he's kind of like college's Belichick.
Indeed. I completely agree. People hate him because they win. Mm-hmm. However you look at it, people hate them because they're win.
However, there is a big matchup kicking off college football with Washington and Auburn going at it the first game of the season.
That's going to huge.
That's going to tell for both teams. That's
for both
going
conferences.
To lead. Yeah, that's going to lead. Whichever team wins that game, that's going to lead them in the right direction for the rest of the season.
Right, I agree. That's a great momentum builder. You know, there's teams over there, and I agree with you of the teams you need to watch out for, the Arkansas, the Ole Misses. In Missouri, no, Missouri's in the Big 12.
Yeah, Mizzo's in Big 12.
All right. There was another team in the SEC that had me it was one of the teams that you don't expect but always seems to – what was it last year, Vanderbilt? Was it them?
Well, you got Kentucky, and I know it wasn't them.
Definitely not Kentucky.
Tennessee.
They tend to be a little ass backwards in Kentucky.
Yeah, well, Tennessee's about the same way right now with all the crap that's been on the past couple of years there.
Yeah.
Well, I'd really like to see Tennessee come back to the glory.
Yeah, man, because, Tennessee, you always seem to expect Tennessee to
Florida's
be somewhere
coming back
there.
up too,
Florida needs to come back up because I'm tired of this. I like the colors. It ain't really the school. I like the colors. Those are awesome colors.
I agree. No, and just to clarify, Missouri is in the SEC. They are. So that probably was the team you were thinking of.
Yeah. I think they're one of those teams that can, if you're overlooking them for somebody the week after, they can beat you.
Well, same as South Carolina.
Yeah.
The Gamecocks they come to play, especially in Carolina.
Well, they kicked our ass twice in 2 bowl games.
I wasn't going to say it, but I'll allow you to.
I'll say it. Clowney freaking cleaned Mike Hart.
Yes, he did. And
I still have
I like to
nightmares with
replay that
But that
over
was like the perfect
over.
hit that the NFL was looking for now.
Yes, it was. Yes,
I
it
mean,
was.
he hit him.
Head up.
You wrapped him up, head up, shoulder. It was
and
perfect.
a ball pops out.
It was perfect. Shut up. But, okay, and so that brings us to our number 1 conference in college football.
The power of the Power 5 is
the Big Ten.
I agree.
We are fabulous. Fabulous.
5 teams starting out in the top 25. Michigan State, Michigan. The team from Ohio, I'll be nice to you.
Yes, the
team
school in
from
Ohio.
Ohio, Penn State, and Wisconsin. And I'm sorry, I know you're a Michigan fan, and I know you're in their division, but I'm sorry.
Wisconsin's tough.
Penn State's going to take the East.
Wisconsin's tough, bro.
They're in the West.
Wisconsin.
Penn State's going to take the East.
For the life of me,
Linebacker, you.
For the life of me, I've never understood when they set these divisions up inside this conference of why you put Michigan and that school in Ohio on the same side. Why would you do that? Yes, I understand they're rivals. I do get that. Yes, I do get that. But wouldn't you want those 2 teams to be able to play in the Big Ten championship game?
I would think so, but I do see kind of the point of putting them in the same side. Here, we're going to put you guys together. You guys are going to play each other every year. Now you'll know who's actually the best team in the East.
Yeah, but once you want to know who's the best team in the conference?
That's why they got Wisconsin on the other side.
Yeah, I don't care about Wisconsin.
And that's why they got the Spartans on the other side.
Just give me
that's
cheese.
That's why they got Purdue on the other side.
Just give me cheese.
Now, Purdue's not ranked yet. They have a new coach coming in last year, Jeff Brom. Mm-hmm. Everybody started to get on his bandwagon that, the Purdue fans were really supporting him. I do see him being a very good coach for a number of years at Purdue, getting Purdue back to where they, where Breeze was there.
Yes.
Having
and even a couple years with Tiller.
Right. But the Big Ten has changed, I think, in my opinion, since Purdue's bask in the glory. The Big Ten is back in football.
It is. It is very back in football. Coming out of this division, there's 3.5 teams.
Speaking.
Yeah, we got 6 teams in the top 25, 5 teams in the top 25, a couple on the outside looking in. But I think it comes down to 3.5 teams, and I'm throwing the half in because they're my team. Michigan is the 4th team for this division.
That hurts you to say that. I see it in your face.
No,
everybody
what hurts
on the air right now, if you could have seen his facial expression when he said those words, it was like he was cringing those words out of his teeth.
I'm more cringing than what I'm about to say.
Oh, boy.
What I'm about to say.
Get ready, everybody.
I'm very fond of Wisconsin. I'm very fond of Penn State. Penn State, I think the lack of Saquon Barkley and the receiver who left is going to affect Trubisky more. Not Trubisky, but whatever the young guy's name who's got the fabulous arm. That guy. I think it's going to affect him more than the analysts are saying. Wisconsin, tremendous football team, but they always seem to have issues with not being able to throw the ball.
They're a power run, knock it down the middle type team.
Yeah,
They've always been that way.
They haven't gotten rid of the old school Big Ten mindset. But that school in Ohio is
Ohio State
is the best team in this conference. They have
he's cringing right now, folks.
They have horses, dog.
He's cringing right now.
They got some thoroughbreds over there that can play some football. And that's because, and I'm saying that because I am a fan of the sport, regardless of who my affiliations are with. But don't get it wrong. The additions of Shea Patterson to the Michigan football team offense is a very key move. I'm a fan of Brandon Peters. My wife works with his aunt. We've watched him a long way, all the way back from winning Mr. Football here in Indiana at Avon. He's just not doing it. Maybe he'll do it here in a little bit, but right now you went to transfer, say, Patterson for a reason.
Yeah, there's always a reason
There's
behind
a
transfer.
reason. And a junior coming in who was successful can bring a lot to this. Michigan's defense is a top 5 defense, period. They were a top 5 defense last year, and they were all young.
I agree.
All these guys are coming back. You got 3 All-Americans on the line itself. I mean, the defense is amazing. So if the offense comes around, Michigan can scare a lot of people in the Big Ten. But it comes down to
they don't scare the independent team that they're playing first game of the season.
The independent team has their own issues about still being an independent and want to know why you can't get into the national championship talk with only 1 loss. Because you refuse to give up your TV contract and join a conference where you can win national championships. Because your conference is your way.
That's the
your
way
crutch.
into the playoff.
It's your crutch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So BYU has the same issue, but they're just not as good as you guys.
Right.
But Ohio, the school in
He
Ohio.
about said, Johnny, did you hear him about say Ohio State?
The school in Ohio is clearly the best team in that conference. Even though the conference does have some issues right now with Maryland and the school in Ohio.
Yeah, they're both.
The Maryland thing is in shambles, and it's going to affect them for a couple of years because sanctions are going to come down.
But I will say one thing on that. At least Maryland had the Gonzagas to take the full responsibility of everything that's going on there. Mm-hmm. Your team from Ohio is surely letting things slip by without any responsibility given to the people that it should be.
Yeah, they're handling this all wrong. I've always thought Urban Meyer was the second best coach in college football next to Nick Saban. The guy wins wherever he goes, and he's amazing. But I lost a lot of respect because the lack of respect that you gave the situation and the person involved and the benefit of the doubt because of his affiliation with your mentor, you overlooked things that should have never have happened and you shouldn't have never allowed. Right. I am a married man. You're a married man.
Yep.
There's no way that your wife knew these things and you did not.
Not at all.
No way. So you lied. One, you'd have been fired, and not because you're at that school. I just think it's because of how you ran that. That's wrong.
How the whole thing was handled.
Even if it was hardball doing that at Michigan, you got to go.
The whole thing was handled very poorly on his end, on the other coaches' end, on the athletic director's end, and on Ohio State in general.
Yep. So, and that's all we're going to talk about that. So,
yep, we're done
Ohio
on that.
State is, I said it, y'all got me. That was the only time
because
it was in such a negative form. That's why I
am going to loop that.
So, there we have it, our breakdown of the Power 5 conferences in college football. So, let's get to why we're all here today, to talk about the matchup of the century, the matchup of the millennia.
Uh-oh.
The University of Michigan Wolverines versus the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. Number 10.
All right. No, throw it in there, Johnny.
Number 10 and number 14.
Number 11.
Number 11
and number 14.
And number 14. You got, in Michigan, you got the all-time winningest program in college football history. You have the all-time winning percentage in college football history, even with Alabama's dominance and even with the 8-5 record and the couple 7-5s with Denard Robinson. We are still the most winningest program in all of college football.
I am glad you were able to hold your breath that long to say all that crap that just flew out of your mouth.
Hey, the Notre Damers are good. You know what I mean? You got the most Heisman Trophy winners. You got the most national championships, even though some of them were championships before when there were only like 6 teams.
Well, isn't that when you got your first 20, 30 wins was when there was 4 teams in the whole league?
And they were all against you.
Yeah, well.
The story is there were a group of guys that played football at the dormitories at the University of Michigan, traveled down the interstate,
About 2.5 hours southwest
to
of
South
Ann
Bend,
Arbor to South Bend,
Indiana, to teach these young four horsemen how to play this game of college football.
Then they felt really bad about themselves because, oh, damn, we just taught the team how to beat us for years on end. Now,
I think we got more wins than you do.
The first 10 meetings, I think we only won one.
We still have more wins than you. Within us.
Okay.
Within us.
So, real
Just
quick,
like
I'm going to jump. Yeah.
We got more wins.
Well, I'm just going to jump real quick. You tell me that about Pittsburgh and Philly. You got more wins because more championship, more Super Bowls. Yes. Well, let me throw this out. 13, count them, 13 national titles to your what, 9?
Blah, blah.
Okay.
Blah, blah. Hey, we have presidents and astronauts.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
I don't know, but to the gridiron, enough for our banter between our schools. Hey, this is a very intriguing matchup.
Very. Starting off the season with each other. We haven't played each other in 4 years.
4 years.
Okay, we haven't played each other in 4 years. Let me remind you who won the last meeting. That was Notre Dame by a lot. Yeah, I'll let you check that stat here later. I think it was like 31 to nothing.
Well, it was not 31 to nothing.
7, my bad. But no, we haven't played each other in 4 years.
You haven't played hardball.
It is a big rivalry, just for the standpoint of where each team is or each school is located, how close they are. The Midwest sees it as a big rival. I don't know how the national level sees it, but I know this state we live in, and the state you're a fan of, see it as a big rival.
Okay, let me break it down to you from the Michigan standpoint.
Oh boy,
this game is an important game, but it means more to the Notre Dame Fighting Irish fans than it does to Michigan fans. See, we have these guys over we got these guys over in Ohio.
This year, though,
is our number one rival.
Yeah, just like we have Southern Cal as our biggest rival.
And then it's Michigan. And
right.
then for us, we have Michigan State and Minnesota. You come in fourth. So it's not really that important.
How can you say Minnesota is a real rivalry right now?
Because we play for a jug.
Oh, I am so glad you get a jug after that game.
The little
when
brown
you beat
jug.
them 70-something to 10, I'm glad you call that a rivalry.
Dude, it's the little brown jug, man.
Oh, man. No, okay.
Moonshine.
That's great and all.
But
you're classifying a rivalry with a team that's really not there for a long time.
Yeah, I don't care. It's a little brown jug. But really, on the football field, this is a pretty big game for both teams.
It is.
On my standpoint, we're bringing in a transfer quarterback. We have a very, very poor offensive line that needs to show that they're not as bad as they were last year. We leaned on our defense last year. Our defense is going to be fabulous this year. But our woes are going to come from the offense, where they have been. And with the offensive mind of Jim Harbaugh, we don't understand as fans why we've had so much struggles on offense. We can't always put this on our quarterback play and on our offensive line play.
But, last year your quarterback didn't do very well.
Well, Brandon actually played pretty well. It's just the offensive line
didn't
protect him.
No.
So he takes 2 hits and he's out for the rest of the year.
Right.
So, I mean, it sucks that way because I think the kid will be good.
So is that a woulda, coulda, shoulda moment?
That is a woulda, coulda. That is a woulda, coulda,
Okay.
shoulda moment.
All right.
I don't know how they were fared into that, but the team. This is a very big year for Harbaugh. On our Facebook page, I posted an article. This is a time for Harbaugh. I mean, it's your 4th year. It's a put up or shut up.
This is your recruits.
Not saying that you need to be fired after this year. Not saying that at all. But this is a put up or shut up.
This is your recruits.
Yes, we need to find out if we're going to expect 10 wins out of you every year or 8-5 is where we need to stay. I don't like it, me personally. For Notre Dame,
it's a very big game.
Every game that you play is a big game because you have
of the
non-conference.
Right, but this one being, again, first game of the season, being against a rival that we haven't played in 4 years, going against Harbaugh's team for the first time, wanting to bring some of that umph back to South Bend, we need this win.
You need to get rid of Brian Kelly.
Unfortunately, I'm going to agree with you on that. He is not, in my opinion, he has not been the coach that Notre Dame has needed. He's
Since Lou Holtz.
We haven't had a coach since Lou Holtz. We've had fill-ins since Lou Holtz.
I think the Notre Dame program is on the same lines as the IU basketball program. You have amends to make before your program will start winning again. It's karmic.
I agree.
You kind of
But we're going to beat you the first game.
Maybe, maybe not. We like the big games at night in the lights.
Yeah.
We like that, So we're not going to pick winners, even though we know who we want to win, but we do need to make a bet.
Oh, yeah, we're going to make a bet. Let's do an air bet, on-air bet.
We can do an on-air bet, or we can do a –
No.
I got an idea.
We did this years ago.
I got it. No.
No, you got to bring that
This
up.
is a great idea. We did this a couple years ago.
No,
well, the winner had to wear the hat of the other person.
Yes. That burned his head.
I don't care. I've had
That's
no
why he
that.
has no hair.
I had a what was the quarterback? Meyer for Notre
Rick
Dame.
Meyer?
Rick Meyer. Wasn't it Rick Meyer for Notre Dame?
God, dude, that was when the bus was
I had
with
a
us.
jersey.
That was
I had a
when the
jersey.
bus was with us.
I had a jersey. I had a jersey. So whatever.
Of Meyer?
Yes.
You don't even have Jerome Bettis. You're a Steelers fan.
Well, wasn't a Jerome Bettis fan, so he was a Steeler. It's not like Woodson.
But you get
it's not
Meyer
like Woodson,
jersey?
But it's not like Woodson, where I have a Raiders fan because he went to Michigan.
Well, we don't put the names on our jerseys.
I don't care.
So any
I had a Rocket Ishmael jersey too.
Well, very good.
So I don't hate.
You felt
Notre
good
Dame.
being a
I've
champion,
never
didn't
hated
you?
Notre
You
Dame.
felt good being like a champion.
Who was the last one to win
today.
the championship between us two?
Next
That's
question.
Right. That's right.
Next question.
Right. I thought you'd get a little quiet, But here's my idea.
Okay, let's hear it.
Okay, so
the world wants to know.
We have our Twitter page.
We do.
What is
at BW Sports 1, at BW Sports Damon, and at BW Sports Dan.
And we also have our Facebook page.
BW Sports 1, Black and White Sports.
Let's let the fans come in on this.
Oh, please do.
Since this will air before
this
will air before the game.
Yep.
Let's have our fans figure out what our bet should be.
Oh God. You are throwing some really heavy stuff. I'm fine with it as long as you are.
I'm good with it. With it. But we still have to figure out which one we're going to do. We'll just let them give us suggestions.
Okay. So everybody that listens
Nothing
to this
new, none of that funny stuff.
Yeah, we're not doing foo-foo stuff.
No ice on the head or none of that crazy stuff. So let's let our fans do that one for us.
Yeah, so
and we'll put that on our pages, and then we'll go from there.
But your suggestion or opinion only matters if you like the page or follow the page.
Yes, I agree.
If you do not like and follow the page, your opinion means zero.
Diddly squat.
I'm with you.
So I need to say something.
Well, there's not. We got a little bit of time left. Let's talk about the other big matchups that's coming up.
Yes,
the first game of the year.
Yes,
I mean,
I'm a bad host.
It's all right. It's all right. That's
I'm
why
a
you got a
bad
co-host. That's why you got a co-host. Not only is Notre Dame and Michigan squaring off at the start of the season, but there's a few big matchups as well. You got Purdue and Northwestern starting off Thursday night,
which is
football.
a conference game.
Conference game, Big Ten game, starting off Purdue, Northwestern. Northwestern's been pretty good.
Yeah, they're up. They're up, coming
They're in
up.
the mid-tier.
They're a scary team.
Yes.
They're a scary team.
Yep. Purdue's coming up with, like I said, with Braun being the coach. I see them making a change for the better. I see that being a tough game.
I do. I like that game. That's a very intriguing. That's a good warm-up game for a college field weekend and some barbecue and all that good stuff. So I like that. And then we also
who do you got? Who do you got? I want to hear your pick on that. We got to give our picks, people.
I'm not going to be a homer.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Northwestern in this one because of their
defense.
They're about 2 or 3 steps above Purdue in their rebuilding stage.
I agree with that. I agree with that. But I'm going to pick Purdue just because I think that their offense their offensive scheme versus Northwestern's defense, that's going to be the matchup of the whole game.
Mm-hmm.
I think Purdue is going to just notch one little notch above Northwestern to win the game.
Okay, I like that. And then from there we have Texas Tech and Ole Miss. This is a Big 12
a Big 12 SEC,
and SEC matchup.
Yeah.
So that hadn't really researched a whole lot about either one of them because I don't expect either one of them to do anything. So I'm a coin flip. I'm going to go with the SEC in this one.
I agree. I'll go with Ole Miss in this one just because Ole Miss is Ole Miss, and they play a lot bigger teams than Big 12 does.
Right. And then we have Washington and Auburn. Without the Notre Dame Michigan game, this is probably the biggest and most important game of the college football season.
Yeah,
it's non-conference. Both of them are top 10 schools, and both of them have potential to win it all. So this will dictate the atmosphere of both of the conference, how strong both of the conferences look, and how well both of those teams look. When you play a big matchup of this magnitude this early in the season, it's scary for both teams because you've only played spring ball. You've only played against yourself. That's why a lot of these big conferences have your
warm-up games.
Your warm-up games, where you are Ohio State.
Which
Damn,
I'm glad.
I said it again.
Man, that's
You're
twice
the school
in the
Ohio.
same show. Twice in the same show. I've never heard him say that school ever in my life, and he said it twice.
Because it's a sports show, and I have to be, you know what I mean?
You have to be non-biased.
I mean, Desmond Howard, whose jersey I'm wearing, Desmond Howard says the school in Ohio on college football game day.
On that other show. Yeah,
on air, he says it. So if I'm on the show, I guess I could say it, but it's not going to be a lot.
All right. So who do you got, Washington or Auburn?
I mean, I'm going with Washington.
I would have to agree. I think that Washington is going to be a tough contender for the national title. Not only the top 4 in the playoffs, but for the national title.
Yep. And then we have Miami and LSU. This is an ACC, SEC.
Yep. Both teams ranked.
Both teams are ranked. Miami has a lot to prove. They started off the season last year fabulous with the turnover chain. Mm-hmm. Everybody was on it. Everybody's behind. Oh, wow. Miami, you suck.
Yeah. I can't say much right now, though, on the Miami. I can't say much about Miami.
So, as well as LSU can be, I'm going with Miami on this one. They got more to prove than LSU does on this one.
Oh, see, I'm going to disagree with you on that. I think LSU has a lot more to prove than Miami ever did in the past 3 years. LSU has been one of those teams that, are we going to do something or are we not? I think that LSU needs to step up. First game of the season, knock Miami down, get that confidence going into especially the SEC play.
Mm-hmm. I kind of agree with you, but I'm still leaning towards Miami as a bigger game because Miami is one of those teams, one of those colleges has a huge historical value to college football. Those are one of those teams that you expect, like when Penn State was down for a while. How can you have college football talk without Penn State? You know what I mean? Their turnaround from the scandal they had was remarkably fast. I thought they were going to be hit for a while.
Yeah.
That turnaround they did was amazing, and I'm still waiting for Miami.
I got to congratulate Penn State for all that.
That is amazing how the team
the team rallied around it.
Yeah, that was awesome. And great hire.
Very good.
Great
Very
hire.
good.
I'm still waiting for Miami to get back to what we expect Miami to be. You know, and you can say the same thing about Florida State. They stole a national championship a couple years ago. But I think they're not the
They've
lore.
Stole more than just one a couple years ago. Let's be honest here.
I don't think they have the lore that they used to. You know what I mean? With the Bobby Bowdens. When you know you have Florida State over there across the field from you, it was rough. So,
speaking of Florida State.
Yes.
Virginia Tech. 19 versus 20.
Yes.
Are they going to flip-flop? Yeah, I know. The ranking doesn't mean much right now.
The loser of that game falls out of the top 25.
Easily. Do you think it's going to be Florida State or Virginia Tech?
I'm going Virginia Tech because I like Virginia Tech in the ACC.
Wow.
I mean, I don't like them to win the ACC, but I like them in the ACC.
So if Florida State gets knocked out of the top 25 on this first game right here against Virginia Tech, are they making it back up?
Well, they got a lot to beat up on the ACC.
That is true. That is very true.
You got North Carolina State. You got North Carolina. You got Duke. You got
Wake Forest.
Wake Forest. Yeah, so there's a lot of games for them too, and they got some more non-conference games that they can rebuild from this loss. But I don't think they'll make it back up. I think they'll play, let's say, one of them non-meaningful. I think they'll play one of those non-meaningful bowl games. Not as early as the day after Thanksgiving, but not New Year's Day.
Right. So like third week, the weekend leading up to Christmas or something.
Yes.
Or a Christmas Day bowl.
They'll get a favorable
the Hawaii Bowl.
Yeah, they'll get a favorable matchup where it'll look good for them going out of to finish swell.
Right.
For the season, but yeah. So I don't see it.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna pick Virginia Tech on that game too. I'm gonna go with them as well.
All right. Awesome. So, folks, I hope you liked the banter that we brought to you.
And Irish.
I hope you like what we brought to you. I hope you like our views and how we bring about the show. We're still new at this, and we're learning as we go, and we would like for you to learn with us as we grow. We are interactive.
Very.
So you can get to us on our various media or social media outlets. And we're not opposed to having conversations about your team.
No, we're big boys.
Your stuff like that. We can take it.
Yeah, we're big boys.
But also be mindful we're adults, and we expect you to be adults, and I'll cut you off as quickly as you put your post on there.
In a heartbeat, if I had the button, I'd hit the button.
Right. So we hope you enjoy what we bring, the idea of fans telling you what fans think. We hope you enjoy it, and we hope you come aboard with us with this journey and just talk about sports, man.
That's what we love. That's why we're doing it, and come with us on this journey. Like I said, check us out on jlmediatoday.com. They'll have the podcast. You can check our YouTube channel out, B&W Sports. Check our Twitter pages out, at BW Sports 1, at BW Sports Damon, at BW Sports Dan, Facebook page, and let us know what you like, what you dislike, and let's have a happy Notre Dame win next weekend.
And remember that you can always get to us through JL Media Today's page. You can hit us from all of our sites on there too, and we'll end the show with a Go Blue.
Go Irish.
Go Blue.
Go Irish.
Go Blue.
Irish.
Go Blue.
Irish.
Pittsburgh Steelers in the house.
Wow.